Like, how can I look any client in the face, say, I'm going to do your marketing, but I can't do my own? Like, I can't have that be the case. So I'm hell bent to figure it out. But it's really the foundation for our future.
Hello, everyone. Today, my guest is Jason from Growth Engines by GMA. Jason, thank you for joining. Please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about your company.
Thanks for having me, Carl. My name is Jason Katz. I founded Growth Engines by GMA about 8 years ago. We do digital advertising and CRM tech stack implementations for small businesses, startups, mid market companies. Before I got into this, I worked at American Express for 10 years, and then I worked at startups for the next 10 years after that, including Shutterstock. And sort of throughout all of that, we are technical geekery at its finest. That was my inspiration when I was a full timer, and it's my inspiration today, and working with lots of companies. So happy to, for those who have the tolerance for all that technical geekery, I'm happy to tell you how that is works out into making a lot of money. So
I love it. I love it. I'm sure you got some people's attention there. So, I mean, that being said, let's jump into some questions. So, you worked at big companies like American Express, you just mentioned, before starting your own business. Um, so, that being said, what made you want to go out on your own? Seems like you were doing great, geeking over all kinds of nerdy stuff, but you decided to go and keep doing it, but on your own. So, tell us more.
yeah, so decided is a great term. I don't know that I so much decided everything. It kind of has been a whole journey to get here. I never actually planned to start an agency, but now I can't imagine not running one. There's like a few ways that I think about it. One, Amazon was an amazing training ground. Freelancing was a great way to get a taste of what it's like to be on my own. And then the agency just became a platform to do it more. Like, and then how did I sort of get here? Kind of hit a fork in the road between AMEX and freelancing. I was deep into many rounds of interviews with amazing tech companies like Meta and Cloudflare. I was having all of these talks with these amazing executives about what we could do. And then I paused and I would just ask myself some questions. Do I want to uproot my family so I can keep doing the same thing? Which was good, but it's a lot to uproot one's family to go work for a tech company across the coast. And I just started thinking, what would it be like to build something on my own? So these were all sort of thoughts. I did not know what I wanted to do. I was having these thoughts while ordering in takeout food into my hotel room during these interviews. And then, fortunately, I trusted my gut, or, it just sort of played out, because I've always loved to create, and now I get to create exponentially more. We get to move really fast, work on hard problems, and we're working on fascinating projects across many industries. And I'm a very
Mhm.
curious guy. You can't do that when you're a full timer, which is, it's great. People are doing full time work. They are amazing. I admire them. I just listened to another podcast today about the guys at Google working full time and like their story. And what everyone does, whether you're full time or you're on your own, it's all amazing. It's just sort of like whatever works for you. And then
Of
sort of the
course.
kicker was that I didn't put it together until more recently, but all my grandparents were immigrants. They came over to this country with nothing. One went into the garment district, then they went into real estate, and then the other side was working a printing press. And it's kind of nice, like for the, our, what some people enjoy or consider rough around the edges. We have like a whole heritage in our family of being entrepreneurial, and now I'm sort of taking it back to these people who, are near and dear to me and special. And the final kicker, Carl, I'll say, is that when I was in the Fortune 500, it was amazing. But sometimes, I'm very intense around getting results. And sometimes people would say, like, a little too much to handle, maybe a bull in a china shop. And you sort of flip that on your head. It gets flipped on its head now that I'm on my own, because the clients that are working with GMA now, with Growth Engines by GMA, that's what they love the most about my agency and about working with me. So it's really, it's interesting. You know, everything can kind of flip depending on where you are and what your context is.
Yeah, 100%. So, I mean, listen, I heard a couple of things here. I heard obviously, the family reasons, and I assume you have kids, correct?
I do. I have four children,
Phew,
ages
there you go.
11 to, and then in August it'll be 16 with twins in the middle. So yes, and we have a
Wow.
startup at home. Which one's
Hey.
more challenging? Probably home, but we have a good time.
No, listen, I can imagine, man. I mean, that's amazing. Congratulations. Four kids, that's no joke. I have one of my own. And I mean, yes, I think you absolutely made the right decision because the work will always be there, but the family is really what we want to cherish. We want to really enjoy every single moment. So I commend you for making this pretty much bold decision, to leave a pretty comfortable position to go out on your own. And also earlier you mentioned a little bit, you mentioned American Express, you mentioned freelancing, but also you mentioned Amazon. Talk to me more about that. What did you do with or at Amazon?
So no, it was not at Amazon. I was at I mentioned Shutterstock and other startups.
I gotcha. Okay. So moving on to the
But I
next
mean,
question.
Amazon's amazing. I wrote a thesis about them in college and did all the statistical research and enjoyed my technical geekery back then. But unfortunately, I don't have any. Didn't get any employee stock from Amazon.
That would have been nice indeed. That would have been nice. So moving on. Going back to your agency. So you guys focus on two main things: running online ads and helping companies use tool like HubSpot or Salesforce better. So tell me a little bit more about this. Can you explain what that looks like day to day?
Sure, Carl. Happy to do so. So we help companies scales with two core offerings: ads and CRM. I'll sort of go one by one. There's no point in mixing them up. The the ads, the performance marketing offering is, the problem we're solving is that ad spend, and there's a lot of it. Companies are spending tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions, and more in advertising, but oftentimes it's running on guesswork. The data that underlies these programs are broken. Customer acquisition costs, or CAC, keeps rising, and learning stalls. So on the one hand, you have a massive investment in growing your company. On the other hand, you have all of these problems that you don't want to have when you're making large investments. So what we do is we build reliable conversion tracking and attribution across that works across platforms, channels, and stages. Uh, if you think about these companies like Meta and Google that have some of the brightest minds in the world building AI and data products into these ad platforms, if that was all that mattered, everyone would be rich because these platforms are amazing. But the platforms require that every company interacts with them and feeds it the right data so that
Hmm.
it can orchestrate everything it needs to in the right way. How you feed in that data, there are a lot of details involved with that. You can send the data through the website. You can send the data behind the scenes through databases. There are lots of different events that happen along the way with how people make money. So there's a whole science around how you transmit data within this ecosystem. And then after you feed in all that data, there's an art to how you actually manage all of the media buying on the platforms like Meta, Google, which we usually
Hmm.
start with, sometimes LinkedIn, and then we expand to more platforms like YouTube and TikTok. And then once we finally tune the digital side, we move to the offline side: TV, radio, direct mail. And you can go from small programs, small spend, to massive, massive of each. And you can do it in a relatively controlled way, even though the world and the economy isn't so much a controlled thing. We can bring some reliability to the chaos. And it's extremely rewarding to do so with clients where, I'll just give you some examples of it. We work very closely with our clients. They're we take their success very personally. So, one company we worked with, Bartesian, which is like an espresso for cocktails. During Black Friday, Cyber Monday, they became one of the top 5 players in the world during our advertising campaign.
That's awesome.
We worked with a marketplace called Hunters that's selling warm intros to companies. We helped them 10x their users and 3x their return on ad spend, the classic advertising measure of profitability. And then another company, Time Study, that works in software, we helped to 4x their annual recurring revenue and help them, which helps support them hitting 2 more rounds of fundraising. So, when you have ads that stop guessing, they start compounding, growth gets way more fun and way more efficient. So that's the story of ads. There's a lot more that goes into it, but if you do it right, it can make a profound difference on the company.
Yeah, I mean, listen, sounds like it. Hats off to you. Sounds like some neat results that you just shared with us. And
Thanks, Carl.
so,
And
you were going to touch the CRM portion as
yeah,
well?
yeah, sure.
Okay.
So on the CRM part, you had mentioned HubSpot and Salesforce. We've actually worked with a lot of CRMs, but those two tend to be the most popular.
Mm-hmm.
And the irony is that CRM is customer relationship management software. It started off with Salesforce, who has the ticker CRM in the stock exchange. Um, while CRMs are supposed to enable teams, very often they slow teams down. Up to 70% of CRM implementations fail
Oh,
because they're built in isolation and silos and they're not integrated with real integrated operations. So it's wild. There's so much investment into these platforms. Teams are operating on these platforms and using them. Like really smart people, massive workforces are all orchestrating themselves around these CRMs, and they hate it. They hate their CRMs. It's so awful. But on the positive side, we figured out how to beat those statistics, and it comes down to a commitment to these 3 steps that we take. The first one is we interview the power players and users to uncover what actually happens in sales, customer success, support, marketing, and finance. We map the company-wide flows. How do all of these teams work? How do they do data handoffs, make decisions? What are their workflows? Um, and then we re-architect these systems to fit into how everyone works. We just want to make everyone's work easier. We want to
mm-hmm.
automate things. We want to go from manual spreadsheets, manual offshore processes, typing data into the same data into many systems, and we just want to make it easy and simple. We're not looking for shiny objects. We're not looking for the loudest voices in the rooms. We're just trying to turn the CRM from a messy database into an operating system. And the really exciting piece is we're turning people and companies into CRM lovers again. We're introducing love back into the room, back to the results, because, right, we don't do all this for fun. I mean, we have a lot of fun while we do it, but, companies pay us because they need results. So just to give you 2 examples, we work with this fascinating real estate hardware and software company called Neve.
Mm-hmm.
They were able to decrease the time it takes to send out proposals by 98%.
Wow.
Went down from 2 hours to 2 minutes. We were able to reduce their product catalog from 1,000 SKUs to 75 SKUs. That's a 90% reduction. And we were able to reduce their software licensing costs by 50%. So
That's
they're,
awesome.
they're working smarter and they're saving money. Another example, we work with Hive, a hybrid vehicle company. They help gig drivers get electric vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
They now solve 97% of support tickets in less than 24 hours. They've reduced the number of systems they work with by 88%, and they've reduced the contacts in their database by 43% because there were so many duplicates and so much mess in the data. So, through this simple process, if people commit to going through this process, CRM becomes a force multiplier. With fewer people, you get more output and faster growth. Um, and the CRM doesn't just organize business; it amplifies it.
I mean, listen, numbers don't lie, and clearly, based on what you just said to us, whatever you're doing, it's working. So, I mean, that being said, you know, so pretty much these numbers, you mentioned, I can't remember if it was in a previous conversation, or it was online that I read it on your website, but you've built your business mostly through referrals, correct?
Correct.
So what do you think made people trust you enough to keep sending you clients? Do you think it's just the results, or is there other thing also that you guys offer that make it so interesting for your current customers, and also help them get you more referrals?
Yeah, so listen, we don't take any of that for granted. We're honored to receive referrals on a regularly. I think owners and operators refer us because we treat their businesses like they're our own. We take everything very personal. We're accountable for the results. We're not just delivering a statement of work. We share dashboards weekly. So if performance is strong, we celebrate. If not, we fix it fast together. There's no hiding. It's just everything's out in the open. We're radically direct and respectful. Clients appreciate that clarity. And then they'll also often describe us as refreshingly clear-headed, fast-moving, and low drama. So, we act like an extension of the team, and they want others to enjoy that. It's not easy building companies, running companies. There's a lot of pressure, there's a lot of uncertainty, and everyone just wants to provide for themselves and their family. Like it's a simple idea, but all these forces, they're powerful, and we're just we help people take a deep breath, and we honor what they're going through, and we just try to help make it a little bit easier. And fortunately, it's sort of played out nicely.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome. I mean, listen, it's yes, referrals are always going to be great, but obviously you guys are advertising, marketing experts. So clearly you've thought about, doing some marketing advertising for yourself besides the referrals. So tell me more about that. So what are the learnings that you've had so far by doing so, and how does that compare to doing it for others?
Yeah, we this is something we put off for a really long time. It's it's addictive to work with amazing clients, solve problems, help them grow, and to grow your own business. So, to step back from that and figure out, how do you build your own engine? It wasn't something that we just rushed into, but over time, as I mature as a business owner, it's something that I realize it's hard, but it's really the foundation for our future. Warm referrals are easier, but cold outreach unlocks predictable scale and reach, which enables us to achieve our mission. And our mission is that every company should have a growth engine. That mission will not be achieved strictly by doing warm referrals. That's going to be achieved by us building our own growth engine. The reward is huge. In my mind, it's not if we win, it's when we win. We're very, very tenacious. And, uh, we're in the process of building our engine. And it's not just for, it's not for our clients, but it's for us. So it's really exciting, really hard, but really exciting. And in the process, it's forcing us to innovate. We're finding these new solutions that we've never used before, and we're getting better across the board. It's making us sharper. We're now are able to detect companies that are desperate. They're in so much pain where they really need the growth engine, and we're
Mhm.
getting smarter in how we describe it and how we scope it and how we figure out how it fits in. It's all coming together. So like I said, it's really hard, but it's the foundation for the future. So, and I'm one for authenticity and honesty. Like, how can I look any client in the face, say I'm going to do your marketing, but I can't do my own? Like, I
Yeah.
can't have that be the case. So I'm hell bent to figure it out. We're making a lot of advancements, and hopefully in a few years after you become a super popular podcasting wizard, Carl, and we have a little bit a few more years, we'll be able to come back and say we've totally cracked it wide open, and I'll share with you sort of what we did. But the tools and the conversations we're having about growing the business now versus before we had our growth engine, it's night and day. It's amazing. The transformation is amazing. I wish we had focused on ourselves more early on, but you can only do what you can do.
Exactly. I mean, listen, better late than never, right? So, and I mean, you mentioned in your just now innovation. So obviously, whenever somebody hears innovation these days, they think of AI. So tell me, like, what's one way you're actually using AI and your agency today?
Yeah, I mean, for technical geeks, AI is more than a playground. It's really I still can't believe it. AI has let us 2x the amount of work that we get done, and at a level that is of like really high quality that we're very proud of. I don't have like one massive example, but I'll give you like little examples from across the
Hmm.
advertising, the CRM business, where AI has been transformational. In advertising, we are using AI to turn competitive research. We used to do competitive research over weeks. We now get it done in days. Creative brainstorming. We're shooting out ad mock-ups, in minutes versus days. We're
Hmm.
doing We're doing research on all of this advanced software and conversion tracking, and we're doing all of our campaign uh, we're doing all of our weekly meeting recaps and notes. They're all generated by AI.
Hmm.
It's not 100% done by AI. We have to. There's a lot of back and forth.
Hmm.
AI doesn't operate independently. It's a
Of
tool, and we go
course.
back and forth a lot, massage and hone things, and optimize our prompts and everything. But it's changed the way what we used to do in months, we're now doing in weeks, maybe even days. And on the CRM side, we're transcribing messy screenshots, whiteboards, or PDFs.
Hmm.
We're analyzing. We're having uh, we're having AI do deep research to uncover the best leads, the fastest paths to close, underperforming stages and pipelines. We're
Hmm.
researching CRM plugins, and we're summarizing messy meeting notes and generating follow up actions. It's it's touching every part of our business. And the other interesting thing we noticed is that while AI is very powerful, it could speed things up.
Hmm.
It also magnifies weak processes, weak data, and weak foundations. So we found when we're applying AI to companies that have a strong foundation in advertising and CRM, exponentially acceleration. But when they don't have that strong foundation, it just
Yep. Yep.
doesn't work. You're
Yeah.
not getting the right answers. So it's a really nice balance with we find it to be a really nice balance with our business. It's like you have to do the old stuff well, and then you
Uh-huh.
could really enjoy the new stuff. And the really
Gotcha.
funny, sorry, last thing I was thinking about, Carl, because I know you really like AI, so I thought about this a little more. It also helps with family and at home. So when my family gives me a messy shopping list, I just put it into AI, and then I move it into my project management software, and now
Hmm.
I can get the grocery shopping done, in half the time. I just fixed a 1930s doorknob by uploading a picture of the insides and it like giving me step by step instructions. It's like, it's become my wingman everywhere. I can't trust it, 100%. I have to challenge it like 30% of the time and sort of like improve my prompting along the way, but it's a game changer in just about every facet of work and life.
I listen, I could not agree more. And I think, I mean, you said it perfectly. You cannot trust it fully, but it has become an integral part of my life and clearly of yours because you're even implementing it for like, the shopping list. But I think to me, like, the bigger questions that we hear from a lot of different people, it's, do you think that AI will eventually replace certain jobs in marketing? Or do you think that, like you mentioned, they'll just make people better at what they do? Because for you guys, this is what it's doing right now. It's making you better at your deliverables.
Yeah, I think, just keeping things really simple, you know, Carl, you're a parent, you're a father, you're a husband, me the same. All of the people I work with, almost all of them are the same. We all need to provide for ourselves and for our families. That's not going away. So no matter what innovation comes here, whether it's AI or something else, we're not just going to say, "Oh shoot, AI came along. I'm just going to throw up my hands and give up." Like that's not the way. That's not the way
I love
things
it.
work.
I love it.
So I think AI will never replace people, nor will any innovation, but it's just going to demand us to be better. It's going to demand more from us, and um, it's going to pressure everyone to move faster. But quality still depends on, it still depends on the foundation, and I'm biased. I'll talk about ads and CRM because I know that best. If
Hmm.
you would apply it to a different domain space better, but at least with ad campaigns and architecting CRM tech stacks, let's go back to some cliches: garbage in, garbage out,
Hmm.
high quality process, high performance output. It's the building blocks of anything. They have to be good, and for the people who think really creatively and they're disruptors and they like to be entrepreneurial, I think they're going to thrive. It's going to be easier for them. For the people who follow playbooks, which, if we don't have people who follow playbooks, then we
Hmm.
don't have progress. You can't just have people disrupting, right? Because you have to have something to disrupt.
100%.
But those people who are following the playbooks, they're just going to have to be smarter, faster, and they're going to have to become proficient at these AI tools. So, the fundamentals still matter. AI is not going to replace real strategy, it's going to reward it. And I think, everyone's going to start performing. It was a great term I learned working with one of our clients, Time Study. They work in healthcare, and they
Hmm.
spoke about top of license. When you have physicians and practitioners working at the top of their license, they're doing what they're best at. Should a surgeon be doing surgery, or should they be working in back office systems taking notes? Right? Like, I think the answer is pretty obvious.
Right.
So,
Yep.
everyone has their top of license. What are you best at? Where do you add the most value? What makes you exhilarated? I
Hmm.
think it's actually going to allow people to really find, it's going to demand people. It's actually kind of interesting. It's going to demand that people like truly find their passions and what they're great at. So, things like AI, social media, there are a lot of opportunities and dangers to them, but I think one of the other opportunities is that, if people are motivated and they're trying really hard, I think uh, they will find that passion and that excellence potentially sooner than we did when we were starting our careers, Carl.
Well, very well said. Very, very well said. And I mean, listen, I think, some key takeaways that I have here. I love your analogy at the beginning about, you being a provider for your family, you being a father. AI is never going to take that away. And I love the parallel you drew with the business, and I could not agree more. So I think for me, I share a very similar view. I think AI is here to stay. I think right now it's going to keep getting better and better, but I don't see a future yet where AI would take over everything because it's all about the prompts these days, right? What do you ask it and how do you train it? So no, but I mean, listen, to wrap this up, just since we just had a great analogy on the family side of things, I know this was a big reason for you to build your business the way you did, but so how do you stay focused, while still being taking care of your four beautiful children and still finding time to grow your business?
Yeah, I mean, I've got my four beautiful children, I've got my beautiful wife, and the answer is I don't. I mess it up all the time. But, just like we do with startups and with businesses and with large businesses, we keep adjusting, optimizing, and trying to do better. So I'm always trying to do better. I love work, but I love my family more. I constantly redraw my boundaries and try to get, and I get real time feedback, whether I like it or not. My wife and my kids, they are strong, honest, they're grounded, and they will, remind me with flair about where I need to improve, whether I want to know it or not. So,
I mean, listen, I know that you're a smart man because I mentioned the children, not the wife, and you were quick to bring up the wife because I like that. Smart man, smart man.
yeah,
Uh,
I mean, she's she gives me the best feedback, and I'm grateful
of
for it.
course,
And,
of course.
you know, growth, to be cliched, growth means nothing if it costs you the people that you're doing it for. So,
Love
I
it.
think work life balance and balance is the most cliched thing. People who talk about the balance, I have not seen anyone who like truly does it well. The closest thing that I see, but it's only in the press, is investors like after they've really made it, like after they've like made it. you know,
Yep.
maybe they like have a little bit more time and they could be a little bit more disciplined. But I haven't met anyone who they like truly have balance.
I
If
mean,
someone, maybe if you have like someone on your show, Carl, that actually figured this one out, let me know and I will definitely watch that episode. But, to be totally honest, I have always struggled with it. I still struggle with it. I always try to do better. It's really hard. I try to keep what's important in mind and just keep trying to improve. But it's the problem I can't solve yet.
yeah, I mean, listen, I think our businesses, especially as founders, CEOs, it becomes your baby as well. So when they tell you, oh, just quit your 9 to 5, become your own, become a business owner, you're gonna have more time. That's the complete opposite, I believe. Because it's always gonna be top of mind for you. You cannot just clock out 5 p.m. Say, okay, I'm done with this. Nothing else to do, nothing else to think about. No. Once you have your own business, it's on your mind 24/7. But to your point, listen, family is the most important, I would say. It's our backbone. So without that, then what's the point of being successful at our day-to-day job, So
Yeah, you said it really well. Absolutely, Carl.
Jason, before we wrap up, for our listeners, I would like to ask you if there's a specific industry that you typically work with.
Yeah, thanks for asking, Carl. It's a little bit different depending on the ads in the CRM. So, generally, the most popular before industry is company size. We tend to do a lot of work with companies that have 20 to 50 employees. So, that's usually, though we do a lot of work with companies that are larger as well. And then on the CRM side, we do a lot of work with tech companies who have a lot of hardware, software, and data. Um, that tends to be the most popular. Though we also, we also work with other industries like, nonprofits too on the CRM side. And then on the advertising side, it's been an interesting journey. We started off working on marketplaces. Then we have done a lot of work with e commerce companies. And then more recently, we've been doing a lot of work with real estate, hotel, and restaurant companies. So that tends to be the most popular. But I'd say, anyone who believes in the principles that we sort of covered on the show, if you all mind, for whoever minded the technical geekery, it's really applicable, across all industries. But, those are probably the most popular. Those are going to be the most popular ones in terms of industry and size, Carl.
Jason, thanks again for your time here. Really appreciate it. We definitely got a lot of pearls from you, and we're looking forward to the potential next one.
Yeah, thanks, Carl. Hey, I really appreciate it. And, if folks want to get in touch, if I could do a quick plug, Carl,
Of course,
all of
of
our
course.
contact info is on growthmarketingadvisors.tech. Again, growthmarketingadvisors.tech. We've got all the info on there if you want to learn more and if you want to reach out, happy to chat at any time.
Awesome. Well, listen, Jason, it was a pleasure having you on the podcast. Good luck with everything, and I hope to hear from you soon. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Carl. I appreciate it. It was a pleasure to be here. And yeah, looking forward to being in touch.
Awesome.